As the judge looked over the evidence, his eyes widened and mouth fell open. He quickly collected himself before clearing his throat and turning to me. With a sorry look, he raised his hammer and made a decision. Raven. I was 16 when I met him. He was my first real boyfriend and was everything I could have wished for. Kind, sweet, attentive, you name it. He always knew what to say, and that should have been a red flag. It was a typical love affair and was never meant to last. I was in college when I found out he'd been cheating on me with a close friend, who we'll call Brittany. We broke up shortly after, and even though I never really got closure, I thought that was that. Flash forward to 3 years later, and I receive a Facebook notification telling me I've been added to a group with all my former classmates from high school. Apparently, they were planning a reunion for old time's sake. I didn't really want to go since all my memories of high school were linked to Raven, but that was until the school's former president specifically reached out to me, stressing how everyone would really appreciate it if I showed up and blah blah blah. Fine, whatever. I'll go if it means I never have to talk to or see these people again. After all, how bad could it be? Apparently, very bad. I show up and find out almost immediately that it's not just a high school reunion, but a surprise going away party for Raven. What the fuck? He and his family were moving away to Canada, apparently. Fantastic! I'd come a long way just to be baited. So I guess it was time for drinks. A lot of drinks. The party was full blown now, and the next part is pretty hazy. But that's when I saw him. My vision was blurred, but I could recognize his figure anywhere. Raven. Then, to my horror, he began walking straight towards me. Is he coming to gloat, to tell me I'm not welcome, or to, dare I say it, apologize? Nope, he was just drunk, but not drunk enough to tell me you left without a word. Was he blaming me? But to my surprise, he confessed. He never had closure. It was too little too late, but it's whatever, I lied. Next thing I know, he's buying me a drink. I rest my eyes for what feels like 5 seconds, and suddenly, we're in the middle of kissing. I wake up in his bedroom. We did it last night. And I needed a shower. Not because I was dirty, but because I felt dirty. Somehow, naive as I was, I tried to convince myself that this was what closure looked like. With him still asleep, I slipped out of his bed, down the stairs, and out of his house. It's just a one-night stand, I told myself. He was leaving in a few days, weeks, I don't know. We left on better terms this time, right? Probably. So again, I thought that was that. The chapter of my life featuring Raven would finally come to an end. Until one day, on Facebook, I see a picture of him. He was in a suit and it was professionally taken. My world stopped. He was getting married. With Brittany! He was with her when we slept together! He cheated again! The first time he cheated on me with her. Now he's cheated on her with me. Unbelievable! How do people like Raven even exist? People that are just so sleazy, greasy, and slimy. I don't know what I ever saw in him. But at the same time, I was also grossly fascinated by him. I wanted to watch him get what he deserved. So I did what anyone would do, stalk his Facebook every day for the next couple of weeks. And all this time, I'm getting more and more emotional. But it wasn't like I cared that much whether he got married or not. Or if he even got the karma he deserved. I was also getting tired and sleepy all the time, but it's not like I was losing sleep over the guy. I also was hungry. A lot. Suffice to say, my hormones were all over the place, but I refused to believe that Raven was in any way responsible. Weeks of stalking, and I've now figured out the venue, his best man, his wedding day, in 7 days. That's when I realized I had missed my period. I go to the doctor and she confirms my worst nightmare. I'm pregnant. 3 months pregnant! It can only be his and he needed to know. I cried and cried. I cried because he got me pregnant. I cried because he married the girl that he cheated on me with. I cried because I am carrying his illegitimate child. I cried because even if I don't love him anymore, I want him to be in my child's life. I cried so much that I shouldn't have even driven, but I drove home anyway. I wrote him a message, and with it, a sonogram of our child. What are you playing at? Who do you think you are? We're done. Just because we had sex that one time doesn't mean your child is mine. He might have been right. If I had been with anyone else but him. But I hadn't. He was my first and only. I told him that, but he was either in denial or didn't care. He was happy now and wanted nothing to do with me. Oh, how the tables had turned. If it's such a problem, then just get rid of it, he shot back. He basically wanted me to give my baby up for adoption or abortion. I was heartbroken, not only for myself, but for my child. This little innocent baby that we made from a drunken mistake. This little baby with a father who already hated them. I made up my mind and basically told him to go to hell. I blocked him, his family, and even our mutual friends. I decided I would be the bigger person in this scenario. I would love and raise my child unconditionally. And wouldn't you know it, things started to go smoothly after that. I went to the doctors every few weeks to make sure my baby and I were healthy. It was during one of those visits that I learned I wasn't carrying just one baby, but two. I was carrying fraternal twins. I opened my mouth, but words wouldn't come out. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Despite the circumstances, it might have been the happiest moment of my life. All the while, I couldn't help but think about their dad. Children deserve a father, and Raven deserved to know. So when I got home, I sent him one last email. Another sonogram of our children. Maybe he'd change his mind. Maybe he'd realize, nope! He told me nothing would change his mind about this whole situation, the babies, and me. He called me a gold digger, a whore. He called me sick. And that's when I started to bleed. His emotional attacks were taking a physical toll on me. I needed a break from him, at least until my babies were born. Following my doctor's suggestion, I moved back in with my family, and even though it was hard on them at first, they came around and accepted me, which is more than I can say about Raven. And finally, on July 10th, 2017, I gave birth to my son and daughter, Charles and Kira. He looked like me, and she like her father. My parents helped take care of them while I went back to work. You know, to be a good mother and support them. But supporting two children, emotionally, mentally, financially, is very different from how I thought it would be. I needed Raven, and I wasn't the only one who knew that. My meddling mother, bless her heart, had been talking to lawyers about child support. Apparently, all they needed was proof. Proof that he's the father, and proof that he encouraged me to undergo an abortion, which is a crime in my country. With these two pieces of evidence, he'd be given a choice. Either offer child support or face the consequences. But I wasn't the only one with a mother determined to help her child. Raven also brought along his mother, who was like her son, as slippery as she was rich. She and Raven stared at me up and down as I walked into court, clearly annoyed that I was wasting their precious time. They were confident that I was just after Raven's trust fund. So confident, in fact, that his mother even ordered a DNA test herself to prove that he wasn't the father. But before the hearing, she struts up to me with her head held high, obviously ready to berate me with insults and threats. What she didn't know, however, was I had a trick up my sleeve. Before she could even open her mouth, I pulled out a picture of the children and held it in front of her. Whatever she was prepared to say to my face now just fell to the floor as mutters before she fell silent, staring at the picture. What the DNA test showed didn't matter to her anymore. It was clearly her son's children, her grandchildren. She literally retreated back to her son quietly, with none of the confidence she had shown just moments ago. She whispered to Raven occasionally, but he just brushed her off. With that one picture, she switched sides. She might have been cruel, but never to her own family. Then the court order began. We showed the judge the DNA test, obviously a 100% match. We showed him evidence that Raven never paid a cent of child support. We showed him screenshots of him telling me to get rid of the babies by any means necessary. The judge was visibly shocked. All the other nasty things he said to me probably didn't help either. Raven was now shaking with fear and anger. The sweet-talking, arrogant persona that he tried to pull off was now a nervous wreck. The judge decided he'd need to pay child support every month until the children were 18. Or until I no longer needed it to raise them. For the first time in his life, Raven was speechless. As if he didn't see it coming! His mom? Well, she almost looked relieved. My guess is she wanted to stay in contact with her grandchildren in some way. Well, good luck with that. If Raven's any indication, she has no idea how to raise children. So there's no way I'd trust any of them with my babies. That's right, my babies. I got 100% of custody, while Raven has to pay 90% of child support. Finally, it was over. Justice had been served. I was over the moon. He would never get to hurt me or them ever again. The kids are 3 now, and I'm with the guy I used to work with. He's kind, genuine, and most importantly, he loves my kids like they're his own. He recently proposed and we're getting married in December, which will, according to him, finally allow him to officially adopt Charlie and Kira. And Raven, thank you for giving me 2 beautiful, smart, and compassionate children. For that, I forgive you.